Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Everyday I'm Mothering, and this is our 2-month check-in with homeschool. I want to share with you how it's going for us, any changes we've had to make, specifically looking at our schedule and all of the curriculums that we're using, things that we're really liking in them, and then things that we're not. So maybe if you're following along with us, this will help you kind of direct or tweak some things, or if you're just starting out and I know you're maybe looking at these curriculums, this will help you as well, just give you some guidance or know what to expect a few months in. Now, I've done my planning video. If you haven't seen that, you can find it here, where I go more in depth about how I started laying out what our homeschool schedule was really going to look at. But of course, when you get started, things happen, so flexibility is a key. So I want to share what we have learned and what we've been able to fine tune, especially balancing multiple levels of curriculum. I also have a video here if you haven't seen that specifically with Torchlight, but I am doing level K and level 2, as well as Logic of English and Right Start Math in various levels. And there's definitely been some things that we've had to tweak and that we found just hasn't really worked out great for us along the way so far with these 2 months. Ultimately, I mean, it's been a really successful couple of months. The girls are loving it. Now, I will say, if you've been following along with my channel, you know that we've had some unexpected changes. We did have our dishwasher break and it flooded. So our kitchen, the living room downstairs, it's all kind of a mess. We're in the middle of getting that cleaned and construction and fixed. So all that to say, I don't know what my filming schedule is really going to be looking like for the next month. And it's the holidays, which really stinks. But I'm trying just to be flexible, and that goes hand in hand with homeschool, because we may be homeschooling out of a hotel. I don't know what it looks like right now, but all of that is so nice when you are homeschooling, that you have a little bit of flexibility. And that leads us right into our schedule. As you know, with our schedule, we do Monday through Thursday, and then we take Fridays off. I love having Friday as kind of a catch-all day where we can play catch up if we need to. We can just take a breath if we need to, do outside stuff, whatever it is. I love having Friday. I still feel that way even with doing the 2 levels and having more kids homeschooling. Friday is just a saving grace for us. Like, I cannot stress enough how nice it is to bake in an extra completely free day in your schedule. I highly recommend, if you haven't yet, please consider doing that. And then we are still doing the Monday, primarily doing level K with that. Tuesday and Wednesday mornings, primarily level 2, with the exception of the chapter books. Like I've said, we do read those throughout the weeks, the main large chapter books. And then Thursday is still science and art. And that has worked out so well for us, with the exception of these past 2 weeks since our kitchen's chaotic. But for the most part, being able to focus experiments and art projects has really helped us keep on track. And the reading has been fine in the mornings. I will say that when you first start out with Torchlight, in the first couple of weeks, reading is heavier than it is throughout the rest of the program. So if you're starting this out and you're a couple weeks in and you're thinking, oh my God, how is she reading all this in one day? This is so much reading. Don't stress about it. All of the levels start out much more dense and heavy in those first couple of weeks. And the Torchlight curriculum writer, she acknowledges this too, and I think she may be working to kind of balance that out a little bit. But as you're finding, just your schedule, your balance, how it's going to work for you, and having heavier readings, it can be overwhelming. But that does kind of level out. And I'm going to do a separate video really talking about the challenges with homeschooling, because I know about, a month, 2 months in, you can really start having some doubts and some challenges. But I don't want to get too sidetracked with this video, but that is coming out. So make sure you look for that, especially if you are feeling just a little bit overwhelmed or struggling right now with homeschool in general. Overall, I'm really happy with how our schedule has been working out. Now, in all honesty and transparency, you might look at me and think, I've been doing this for 3 years, or I've got this down, her schedule seems to work, and how is she doing this? Or maybe it's just not realistic, or whatever it may look like. But I want to say right now, I am not perfect. We do not always have this down pat. So from my planning video, I wanted to incorporate more nature journaling this year, and I wanted to make sure that we stayed on top of piano and French as our add-ons. Well, that has not happened and 2 months in right now. So that is something that I'm going to have to make sure going forward I make more of an effort to make sure we do. We did piano for the first several weeks, but it's one of those things that when we get behind, it tends to drop out. And it's really challenging to do that with 3 kids fighting over that keyboard and trying to do it. So I need to just rework my strategy a little bit for that. And then as far as French goes, we have such a fun box that we started last year, and we only did a couple months and then I paused it and I thought I'm going to do it this year. So I have all the monthly boxes already here and ready to go. I just haven't tackled that yet with everything else going on. So that's another thing that's coming up, and I'll share those boxes with you all as well. It's a monthly subscription box for French, but those are 2 things that I know I need to focus more on. And then nature journaling. If you see my video here, you know I'm in love with our nature journal. We love to do them. We love to go hiking and do them, but I haven't made much of an effort throughout the week to really get the girls out doing them versus just family hikes. So those are things that I am challenging myself to work on in the next couple months. So I'll make sure I do my update. Hold me to that. I want to make sure that I am incorporating those more in our schedule. But other than that, we're pretty much on track with where we want to be, and everything's working out pretty well. For the afternoons, you know that's when we do logic of English and math, because Emmeline, my 2-year-old, sleeps then. That's the only time we can do it. It has to be that way. Now, last year when I just did this with Elena, it would maybe take 40 minutes, 20 minutes per subject, maybe 30 minutes as English got a little bit longer, but I still had plenty of time to really do my house stuff, do YouTube, whatever else it was. That is not the case this year. So doing 2 kids, math and English, is taking much longer than I really had anticipated it would. It's pretty much that entire 2 hours of nap time between the 2 of them and bouncing around, taking up a substantial amount of time for me. So even though in my video I said I was going to try to still do housework and, work and YouTube throughout the week, that's pretty much not happening. I'm mostly doing the bulk of house cleaning on Friday in that afternoon time slot because that's our off day, and just trying to juggle YouTube throughout whenever I can. So I'm still finding my footing with that. But along those lines, so with math and English, I know a lot of people have said, they're having challenges having 2 kids and trying to balance back and forth when Right Start Math and Logic of English, as much as I love them, are admittedly very parent intensive and hands-on. So my plan initially was to get workbooks and activity books, work with one child at a time while the other was distracted. And I opened those in this video here and gave you an example of some of the workbooks and activity books we'd be using. And those have worked out really well. The girls have really enjoyed doing those, and it's worked as far as sitting down with Adeline. I do math and English with her at one time and then switch to Elena versus doing all of math and then all of English, switching them back and forth. That does not work. But they've really been able to focus on that while I work with the other one. However, with Adeline not yet being able to read, it's been very difficult to give her some of these workbooks and activity books. She kept coming back and interrupting and asking questions because she just couldn't read the instructions, and it made the English with Elena drag on so long that I knew I had to come up with another solution. She can still do some of the activity books, but not the big ones without me sitting there reading the instructions to her. It's way too distracting. So what I have actually found are some great free online resources where I can sit them down at the computer and I can let her play on this, but it's educational. She can put her headphones on, and that way she's getting the instructions told to her, and I feel like she's still learning and doing something educational at the same time. And I'll do a separate video specifically on the couple that we're using, but I am so happy with them. The girls look forward to doing it, and it's really helped me streamline my time with Elena and keep Adeline, distracted and working on something, and it's making it go so much quicker. And we've cut out probably at least 20 or 30 minutes by the time you do that back and forth stuff. So I highly recommend finding something like that. And that video should be coming out within the next couple of weeks. So make sure to look for that. If you haven't yet, subscribe so you'll be notified when it comes out, and you can check out those resources as well. Since we're talking about math and English already with schedule, I think it's a good time to really jump into those curriculum a little bit more and what we found already these 2 months. So really, we've done Logic of English and Right Start Math. This is our 3rd year doing them. I didn't really expect to find anything new in the program. At this point, we pretty much know our flow works well for us with those. But with 2 kids, I am finding that I'm doing less of the card games and kind of the hands-on sensory stuff with Logic of English. And that's unfortunate because I know my girls really liked that last year. So I am going to try to, now that we've got our structure down a little bit more, make sure I'm including those. But there are times when, I'm just running out of time and I have to get through, and I am cutting out some of those. And that's just kind of how it has to be with 2 kids. It's a little unfortunate, but I want to make sure, I'm still doing at least a couple a week. But honestly and realistically, that is what's happening, is that we're tending to cut out some of those just in order to get through the bulk of these. And the main problem with time has been Logic of English Level D. So I had initially scheduled that I was going to do an entire lesson in one afternoon with Elena, mostly because I wanted to get through it. She is far past the reading level of Logic of English Level D for foundations. She honestly should be in essentials. Had I known at the beginning of the year what I know now, I probably would have just skipped Level D and went to essentials, but I wanted to use it because we had it. But it is really dragging on. It takes a long time to do these lessons. And as far as like the reading and that piece, I don't know that she's getting a whole lot more from it. Now, she does still need the grammar, she needs the spelling, but at this point, I'm looking at either having to divide them up between 2 days or thinking if we're just going to start skipping some of the reading part just to get through it. For Adeline, now that I know this, I am going to make sure that I get Level C and Level D done in 1st grade. I am not going to take my time and spread out Level C like I did with Elena. I need to do both in the 1 year. That's just what I'm finding for us. But they do get lengthy, they do get long, so that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to juggle the time. Now, Right Start Math, we fly through it. Honestly, with Elena, still Level C seems to be a little bit of too basic of review, so I'm hoping it's going to pick up a little bit, but I know that's part of Right Start Math. It builds, so you kind of go back and you learn again. But the girls are still loving it, and Adeline loves Logic of English. She likes it more than Elena did for Level A. And when she started this, so we are in week 7 or 8 now, I believe, week 8. So when we started English, she could not read and she could not spell. She could recognize her letters, but that was pretty much it, other than like her name and stuff like that. But now she is reading, she is spelling, and I love that about this program. It's not about memorizing sight words. They really teach you how to spell. You're spelling the word first before you're learning to read the word. And she is so proud of herself. She's loving it. She is running with these books, and I'm just so impressed and so proud to see her already doing that. So again, I love that program, and you can see results. This is how it's working for us, 7-8 weeks into the program. Adeline, can you spell Doug?
G.
Let me see, turn around.
I like my life so much better once I started homeschool.
Good job. As far as add-ons for Elena, we are still using Beast Academy and Grammar Galaxy. I haven't done a specific video on those yet, and it's on my to-do list to do, but we do still really enjoy them, and I will do a video coming up shortly looking more in depth at those 2 add-on programs for us. But now our main program is Torchlight, so I do want to talk about that and what we've learned so far. Now, since we've done Level K before, again, I knew what to expect there, and pretty much it's going the same way for us it did with Elena, except that I just don't have the capability and capacity right now to go to the library and do all the add-on books that we did with Elena. We would go and get tons more books on the country, on the animal of the week. I just can't do that with Adeline right now. And honestly, my voice can't take reading very much more every week. But Adeline can join in with Elena now when she wants to, so I don't feel like she's missing out. She's getting to do the art projects, the experiments, and she's really enjoying some of the books that I read with Elena. Now, Adeline's favorite part of Level K right now would definitely be the Mercy Watson books. She loves those. So if your kids love Mercy Watson, there's a really neat thing with YouTube that the illustrator has his own channel, and he'll walk you through the steps of how to draw Mercy. So my girls love getting to draw her with him. She loves Zoe and Sassafras. Now, the country books can get a little dense, but it's not about, teaching to complete knowledge and memorization and full understanding of the country. For me, I look at it more as just an introduction. So, I'm happy if she remembers a couple of things about the countries. And, we'll tie back, we'll learn more, but it's just giving her, an initial viewpoint or initial kind of understanding of other cultures and other countries. And of course, she loves the cooking and the food. Even if we cheat and we do carry out, she's still really enjoying that piece. So she's loving Level K and all of homeschool so far. So now Level 2 for Elena. This is our first time doing Level 2, so I definitely have learned some things about it and some things that we have already dropped. So for Level 2, going into this, I knew I wasn't going to do the spell book from Level 1. It's the same spell book they had then, and it does vocabulary. We started in Level 1, and it just became kind of repetitive for us with Logic of English, and it just wasn't something that we kept up. So I didn't even try it this year. But I was really hoping that the Bard story, where they make a story and they write through it throughout the year, would be a win. And I thought Elena would really like it. She does not. She didn't even do the first one. And I'm really surprised because she loves the comic book part of Level 2. And she likes writing stories and illustrating. But she's just not into that being a Bard project. So I'm not pushing it. I mean, I want her to enjoy it, and I'd rather her do other stuff, write her plays, write comic books. I'm not going to push this piece when she just doesn't really seem passionate about it. So for us, that did not work out. Now, the piece of Level 2 that I have personally been disappointed in and quite frankly was surprised with were the lit quotes. I had high hopes for these lit quotes, and the point behind them was supposed to be that you would have a quote from your novel for that week, and the kids would write it down so it would help with their writing, and then also identify the parts of speech, since part of the theme of Level 2 is looking at the grammar, and that's one of the books that's a spine that you carry through the year. Well, that grammar book, the spine book, is extremely basic in the knowledge that it provides and what it goes over in the information. So I'm not that impressed with the grammar book, and I know some people have really struggled to find that one too. So, I mean, if you can't find it, Logic of English covers that. Grammar Galaxy covers that stuff. It's just an okay book, in my opinion. The real issue are the lit quotes. Now, when you think of a second grader identifying parts of speech in a lit quote, if you're like me, you're thinking of a very simple sentence. These are not simple sentences. When I write them on the board, I mean, they are like this long. It's run-on sentences. It's 2 or 3 sentences put together. You got lots of semicolons, lots of thoughts, lots of metaphors, analogies going on in them. They're beautiful quotes, and I actually really like them for discussing and for practicing her handwriting. But as far as picking out parts of speech, I can't even pick out all the parts of speech in those sentences. I have zero confidence in my ability to pick all those out and teach those to her. And I mean, that's saying something. Not that I'm like a genius in English or anything, but I mean, I do okay. But these are hard, and there are no instructions. I mean, if she's going to keep this in the curriculum, I really think that there needs to be an answer key. There needs to be something that you can look at and identify the correct answers and explain why. And I have seen this feedback on the curriculum discussion board on Facebook as well. People are just dropping them because they are difficult and we just don't know the answers. So there really, really needs to be some help given in that area if the goal is to keep that in and truly identify parts of speech. Just not using them for that purpose at all. But again, we do write them every week. I have a board that I put up with our weekly topics for both girls. Where are we at this week for Adeline? When are we for Elena, since we're doing medieval history? We put the animal they're looking at, and then we also put, the quote for the week. So it stays up all week so she can see it and we can talk about it. So I really do enjoy them, but Lord knows I can't identify those parts of speech. If you can, props to you, and I hope you really are enjoying that piece, but that's just not for me in that part of it. Those are 2 things that we're not really using or feeling in Level 2, but I do want to share the positives of what we are really liking in Level 2. By far, Elena's favorite part are the 2 Truths and a Lie book, and I did not have that high of expectations going in. I'm not even sure I really understood what they were. She loves them. The weeks that those are included, she will keep track. She knows when it's coming up. But she likes reading the 3 stories. She likes filling out those sheets. And I don't stress with the sheets. If she fills them out what she can, it's great. I don't force it or look at it. I know some people feel like that's getting a little tedious with their kids. If they don't enjoy it, I wouldn't force that piece of it. But she does like at least writing down a couple things so she knows what to research. But then she loves getting to use the computer to do this research. And that's not something that I've really had her do before, is really be on the computer and learning about sites and how to research things. So she's loving this piece. And I'm really seeing her learn, what to start to look for, what to process, and how to really think through information if it's quality information. And then she gets to decide, which story is fake. And so far, she's found the fake one every week that we've done it. And this is an absolute success for her. She loves this part of the program. She's also really enjoying the science pieces, and I am too. You have the energy labs, and you also have the Earth lab book. And so far, all the projects in the Earth one have been a lot of fun, and we've really enjoyed the experiments. Now, for the energy one, we haven't exactly had like a lot of success with some of them as far as results mirroring what I would anticipate in the book, but we still had a lot of fun doing it and explaining what's happened and kind of identifying where maybe we went wrong with our experiment. But they're really easy experiments to do, and they are a lot of fun. So I've been very impressed. You don't have to buy a whole lot of stuff to do them. They're pretty simple and straightforward. So we are really enjoying the science piece of this as well as the medieval projects. Elena has really enjoyed doing those. They loved making shields the first week, and we did it with all the girls and we made them, and they've really enjoyed that piece of the medieval projects. And I'm looking forward to doing more of those this year as well. Then for the overall books in level 2, we've again been really impressed, really enjoying them. I will say that the book, the Omen Turtle, I'm not even sure what it's called now that I'm sitting here saying it, but something about Omen and Turtle, that book's been a struggle for us. We haven't actually finished it, which is really unusual for us to get behind with a chapter book. We usually are on top of them, or we read them like super fast. We are struggling to get through that, but I'm not going to hold us up with Torchlight with that. We're just kind of continuing to read that at bedtime or as we go as kind of an extra book at this point, but we are not through it, and I don't know why. It's not clicking with us that well. But she's loved the other ones. I Green the Brave, she really enjoyed, and Fortunately the Milk, it's probably been one of her favorites, and we read that in one sitting. So again, as always, I love the majority of the books with Torchlight. Elena also loves the 2 logic games that are part of Torchlight Level 2. She looks forward to these, and they are such cute games. Actually, Adeline has played some of them as well. But so far, they're pretty simple starting out, but I'm sure they're going to pick up. But she's really enjoying them, and they're really a high-quality game, so I'm very impressed with those components of the program as well. That ended up probably being a little longer than I intended, but I did just want to give an update on how we're looking 2 months in and some things that I'm challenging myself to change and focus on in the coming months, and that can get really tricky with the holidays. So, of course, if we need to, we'll take a couple weeks off. We took a week off heading into October just to do a bunch of Halloween activities, which if you haven't seen that, I have a whole series on it, the ones that we did before all the craziness happened in the house. But we've had so much fun doing that, and if I need to take a break from this stuff to focus on doing some really fun holiday stuff, I do it. Guilt-free, that's what we do. That's why we homeschool, is to have fun and do stuff like that. So we're still having a blast. Make sure to share down below with me what you're really liking so far, maybe some challenges you've had. And if there's a specific question or topic you want me to address in that upcoming video on homeschooling challenges, make sure to put that down below too. As well as any other topics that you ever want covered, let me know down below, and I'll try to make sure I'm putting videos out on questions and things that you guys want to see. But thanks so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Bye everyone.